We have a pretty big Habs trade update as Pierre LeBrun and Chris Johnson on The Athletic today went into some sleeper teams that we haven't really discussed as potential suitors for Sean Monahan. That plus some more Jake Allen rumors, and of course a Habs World Juniors update as it was a big day for a lot of your favorite prospects, all on this episode of Habs Digest. But before we get into the video, guys, as always, I know I ask this every video, but as we approach 10,000, I'd really appreciate if the over 50% of you watching this video who haven't subscribed, hit that button. We're so close to our goal. We're gaining so many subs every day thanks to you lovely people. And if you want to keep seeing Habs content every single day, this is the place to be. Let's jump right into the Habs news. And we got to talk first about Filip Mesar. And he is just unbelievable right now. Slovakia had another rout today as they played Norway. And they win 8-4 to move to 2-0, well, 3-0 in the tournament now. Filip Mesar, 3 assists. 2 of his teammates getting 4 points. I saw someone say Mesar had 4. He only got credit for 3 in the end, but still, unbelievable game from Filip Mesar. His passing and especially his skating have just been off the charts. Like, he has been getting primary assist after primary assist. I don't think all these 3 were primary, though I could be mistaken. But yeah, when he's on the ice right now, he is commanding more attention than almost anyone in the tournament, dare I say. Like, yeah, he's had some teammates that are maybe outproducing him in goal scoring, as Mesar still doesn't have a goal on the tournament. But what he does have is 6 assists in just 3 games played. And guess what? He played in the World Juniors in 2021 and in 2023. And in those 2 tournaments combined, Filip Mesar combined for 6 points. 6 points in 7 games in the previous 2 World Juniors he played in. Now, this year, he has 6 points in his first 3. He is straight up one of the best players in this tournament so far. He is, I don't know if he's our MVP for Team Slovakia so far. They've had some really good players outside of him, and as I show that again, I mean, Dalibor Dvorsky, what a game from him today, and Petrovsky has been amazing all tournament as well. But yeah, just some amazing stuff from Filip Mesar, and as we said, like, this guy went from last year, us saying, he had a bit of a down year in the OHL. He really wasn't producing the way we wanted. He looked solid in camp, but couldn't quite put it together, to now having a dominant OHL season, going to the World Juniors and looking like one of the best players in the whole tournament. Like, what more can you ask for? So, awesome day from Filip Mesar. But we also had some good days from other Habs prospects, including a lot of your favorite and maybe my favorite, Lane Hutson, who, after maybe a disappointing game in their 11-3 win over Switzerland, Hutson failed to register a single point, and Jacob Fowler was in net for that game and maybe didn't have the best game ever, but he still got the win, obviously. A W's a W. But guess what? Trey Augustine, as much as it sucks to have, anyone sick or injured, Trey Augustine was sick, and that's Team USA's, well, probably who they would have gone with today on a game back-to-back days, but no, it was Jacob Fowler who stepped up and went in net again today. And him and Lane Hutson had decent games, and we're just going to show the stats here. Hutson only managed the 1 point, but Lane Hutson was named player of the game for Team USA. The points don't always tell the whole story, and Lane Hutson, once again, while not a typical Lane Hutson game, as you guys have been watching many of his games at Boston University, it didn't feel like he was quite dominating the ice at the same level we'd see there. Obviously, this is at a bit of a higher level of competition. Lane Hutson is still showing all those flashes that we saw from him, and while maybe he could be a little more patient and create a little bit more offensively, he still got the assist, he still got player of the game. But the story of this game maybe was even the shootout, as Team USA and Team Czechia went into the shootout, and Jacob Fowler didn't let in a single goal. He stood tall. He made some amazing saves, not only in the game, but especially in the shootout to keep this team in it. And I saw some people calling for him to get MVP of the game after it, or maybe both goalies from both teams. But yeah, what a game this was. Team USA comes out with the win. And as a Team Canada fan, of course, that kind of hurts me. But as a Montreal Canadiens prospect fan, definitely good to see Jacob Fowler and Lane Hutson step up. And I would give you an update on Owen Beck, but Montreal, geez, yeah, Team Canada. Well, the Team Canada lost 2-0 to Team Sweden today. So Owen Beck got some decent ice time. He looked okay. Like, didn't really stand out, didn't really do a ton, but then again, no one did on Team Canada. The team looked disjointed, they looked distracted. Don't know what went on with them today, but hey, hope they can bounce back in their next game. But let's move on to the next one. I'm going to turn that off. Let's move on to these trade rumors, because the trade rumors, I got some cool stuff to discuss with you guys. So, like, look, we've talked a lot about trades, and I'm just going to kind of quickly go over some of the stuff that was said in this article, and it was Pierre LeBrun and Chris Johnson on The Athletic. So here's the article. It was the NHL trade matchmaker Pierre LeBrun and Chris Johnson on where the top 6 targets go by the deadline. And top 6 targets, we got Elias Lindholm, we got a bunch of guys going here. We got Jake Guentzel, and of course we got Sean Monahan. But they specifically honed in on Sean Monahan and Jake Allen, both of these guys in the top 6. And the first guy we're going to talk about, actually no, we're going to talk about Jake Allen first. So Jake Allen, of course, is a free agent in 2025, and the two teams that LeBron and Johnson mentioned are Carolina and New Jersey. Now, these are two teams that we have mentioned a lot on the channel if you've been following the Jake Allen trade saga. And guess what? The insiders seem to agree, and we also know that Kent Hughes has spoken to Carolina, despite the Carolina Hurricanes Twitter going after the Montreal Canadiens, making fun of him at all times. Seems to be that the relationship is at least somewhat mended if they're discussing a Jake Allen trade. But, you got Frederik Andersen, who might come back soon, but he's been injured and he has another year left on his contract. Kochetkov has maybe not been what they wanted. Ranta, of course, even though he beat Montreal in their last game, he's still not that good, but still only an 850-ish save percentage. So, Carolina and New Jersey. You could pause, go back, pause, read those articles. It's kind of the same stuff that we've been talking about. Both teams are teams that feel like they should be better, but have had horrible goaltending woes. And while it's not all on the goaltending, there have definitely been some defensive issues with both these teams. Notably Carolina, which is a bit interesting to me. If you watch that third period of Montreal-Carolina, you wouldn't think their defense has any issues. They blocked everything Montreal was trying to shoot. But Carolina's been known as a defensive team that kind of helped elevate their goalie stats. Last year, Ranta was 19-3-3 or something on the season? And this year it's just not quite that. Carolina needs maybe someone to step up in net if they really want to contend. But if you're talking about New Jersey, why not, right? You got a bit more control with Jake Allen. And some of these teams don't like to go after you. If you can pause and go read that, they don't like to go after guys who maybe have or UFA at the end of the season. You want maybe a bit more security. And someone like Jake Allen, if Montreal decides to use their last retention spot on Allen, which seems to be increasingly likely by the day, those could be two great landing spots. So let me know what you think about Jake Allen. I know we talk a lot about him. Carolina, New Jersey, or another team down below. I'd love to hear from you, but I'm sure a lot of you guys are a bit more interested in Sean Monahan. And as am I, because we got some interesting teams here. Now, Colorado is a team we've mentioned that's been linked to Sean Monahan in the past, but I think we only did one video on it, and it was just kind of a passing rumor. But Pierre LeBrun seems to think could be Monahan. He's not a bad consolation prize if they miss out on a big guy like Lindholm. And he says the Avs are going to add to their top 6 forward group before the deadline. It could be a clever addition. Well, Chris Johnston says Kevin Cheveldayoff has consistently, shown a willingness to add rentals at the deadline when his teams have given him a compelling reason. This looks like one of those years in Winnipeg. Monahan would strengthen the spine of a Jets team that has a puncher's chance, I'd say more than a puncher's chance in the Central Division, and the cost both in assets and his $2 million cap hit shouldn't be too severe. Now, it all depends, of course, what Montreal is going to want to get for Sean Monahan, whether that's a first-round pick or what, because it seems like it might be, but maybe a second-round pick and a decent prospect, you never really know. Now, I'm seeing a lot of Habs fans saying, we want to keep Monahan. And I'm on the other side of this. I think we should trade Monahan. You watch these videos, me and Jesse kind of go back and forth. He wants to keep Monahan around, extend him. I want to trade him. I'll just explain my case, and I'd love to hear your guys' case in the comments down below. Reply to each other, discuss this, because it's a really interesting topic, at least in my opinion. When you're talking about Sean Monahan, you're talking about a guy with a big injury history, and a guy that's going to be on the wrong side of 30 when his next extension this summer comes in. He's going to be 30. Right? And he's going to probably want some term. He's been playing very well for Montreal, and unless he accepts some kind of short-term, for the boys kind of deal in Montreal, maybe a 2-year deal at 2.5 per, I'd swallow that, no problem. I think that'd be perfect. But if Monahan comes in looking for a 3, 4, 5-year contract, which he might want to ask for after having this career almost renaissance in Montreal, I don't think Montreal should be the team to do that. And if that's what Monahan has in mind right now, and honestly, if I were him, I would be thinking, if I can get a team to give me a multi-year deal, I'd want that, especially with my injury history. So if that's what he wants, and there's a team out there that's willing to give it to him, he might not stay in Montreal anyway, because I don't know if Kent Hughes would be willing to pay him that much over that many years just to keep him. Not sure. While at the same time, he's playing so well now that Montreal could get assets in the meantime to help, accelerate their development, give another forward spot to a young guy, right? So that's kind of my perspective on this thing. Again, feel free to disagree with me because, again, not everyone's going to agree with that. A lot of people want to keep Monahan around because there's been no doubt he's been such a good influence on this team. He's been fantastic on the power play. He's had great chemistry with so many players, and he seems like a great locker room guy. But again, in my opinion, if he wants term and Montreal's not willing to give it to him, trade him at the deadline, right? The only way I say keep him around is if he signs for a fairly cheap short-term deal. But yeah, anyway, let's get into the teams and what these trades could look like. We only have a couple minutes left in this video, but we're going to pop up the central standings because the two teams that are linked to him in this article are the Jets and Avalanche, and those are the two top teams in the Central Division at the moment, though I will say the Jets and Stars are tied. I believe the Jets have the tiebreaker over Dallas right now. I think they beat Dallas. I could be wrong. But yeah, like two of the top teams in the Central, and actually, you look at the Jets and Stars, they both have 2 games in hand on the Avalanche. Also, shout out to the Coyotes. Like, what? How are they doing what they're doing? And Minnesota creeping up the back. Really, really cool division right there. A lot of interesting stuff going down. Connor Bedard at the bottom. But this could be really interesting because if these two teams are both interested in Sean Monahan, it almost could create a bidding war, which is something you kind of want if you're Montreal. Like, is there a world where Kevin Cheveldayoff gives a phone call to Kent Hughes and he was like, okay, you want to give me a 2nd-round pick and maybe some futures and whatever. Okay, interesting. Calls Colorado, said, hey, your rival there, the team that's at the top of their, almost at the top of the division with you, could overtake you any day. They want Sean Monahan, and this is what they're willing to give me. How can you beat that? And it could be interesting. And I don't know if that's how the GMs get into this kind of chess match, but it is really interesting to look at because both teams have decent stuff they can give up. I mean, the Jets, I don't know if they'd give up a significant prospect, but I think for these two teams, especially Winnipeg, who has looked really solid this year and have kind of consistently been a team that's really wanted to make that final push into that Eastern Conference or Western Conference Finals, into that Stanley Cup Finals. Colorado already won a cup. Could this be the year that the Jets are just like, Monahan would be perfect for us? Because I think Monahan would fit amazing on Winnipeg. I'm not going to lie. And I think the Winnipeg might be willing to pay the price. So anyway, there's a lot of speculation, but I think this actually makes a lot of sense for Sean Monahan. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you want to trade him? Do you want to keep him around? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear from you guys because this saga is going to continue probably into January, into February, maybe even into March. So we'll have plenty more videos just like this. But yeah, in the meantime, that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. And if you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We are just over 200 subs away. Last I checked, from 10,000, and what a milestone that'd be. If we can hit that before the new year, it'd be amazing. I don't think we can, but even if we hit it early January, hey, it'd be super, super appreciative. I've been your host, Josh Gosse. I'll catch you in the next one.